My name is Laura Bennett. I am 34 years old, and I never thought I would one day stand in a lawyer's office fighting with my own sister over a house that held so many of our childhood memories. That vacation home was not just property, it was the place where our family gathered every summer, the house by the lake where we learned how to swim, celebrated birthdays, and spent endless nights on the porch watching fireflies. For me, it was a piece of our history. For my sister, Amanda, it was a prize she thought only she deserved. Our parents worked their whole lives to keep that home. My father spent years teaching at the local high school, and my mother ran a small flower shop in town. They weren't wealthy, but they always made sure we had summers full of laughter and warmth in that house by the water. It was their pride and joy, something they often said they wanted to pass down to us when the time came, after our parents passed. First my father, then my mother a year later. Amanda and I knew the house would eventually come into question. But I never expected the bitterness that followed. From the very beginning, Amanda made it clear she believed the house should be hers. "You don't even come up here that often anymore," she said one afternoon as we stood in the dusty living room of the vacation home, sorting through old boxes. "I'm the one who cares about it. You don't deserve it the way I do." Her words stung. I had a husband, Mark, and 2 children of my own, and while life had kept me busy, it didn't mean I loved that place any less. I reminded her how many summers the first had spent cleaning, painting, and helping our parents maintain the home. But Amanda brushed me off. To her, my absence in recent years was proof that my connection to the house was weaker than hers. The tension between us grew quickly. Every conversation about the home turned into a fight. Amanda accused me of being selfish, of wanting something I didn't truly value. She even told family friends that I was trying to steal what was rightfully hers. I tried to stay calm, but inside, I was boiling with anger. It wasn't about greed. It was about respect, about honoring our parents' wishes and the memories we both shared. The breaking point came the day we met with our parents' lawyer, Mr. Jacobs. He was an older man, gray-haired and calm, who had known our family for decades. As Amanda and I sat across from each other in his office, I could feel the weight of years of resentment pressing down on us. Amanda sat with her arms crossed, a smug smile on her face, convinced that she was about to walk away with everything. "I don't know why Laura even bothered to come," Amanda said sharply before the meeting even began. "We all know Mom and Dad wanted me to have the house. I was the one who cared for it. I was the one who visited every summer." Her arrogance made my stomach churn, but I stayed quiet, waiting for Mr. Jacobs to begin. He adjusted his glasses, pulled out a thick envelope, and said, "I think it's time we read the will." The room grew silent, the only sound the rustling of paper as he unfolded the document. As he began reading, my heart pounded in my chest. Amanda leaned back confidently, certain the words would confirm what she had believed all along. But I knew my parents better than she did. They weren't the type to play favorites. They valued fairness, and they loved us both equally, even if Amanda refused to see it. And as the lawyer's voice filled the room, I realized that everything was about to change. Mr. Jacobs cleared his throat as he began to read from the will, his calm, measured voice filling the heavy silence of the office. Amanda sat with her legs crossed, one hand tapping impatiently on the armrest, already convinced she was moments away from victory. My palms were sweating as I tried to sit still, but inside, my chest was tight with dread. The will began with the usual legal language. Our parents leaving behind small savings accounts, a car that had long since lost its shine, and a handful of personal belongings they wanted us to split fairly. Amanda barely paid attention, her eyes glazed over, until Mr. Jacobs reached the section about the vacation home. "To our daughters, Amanda and Laura," he read carefully, "we leave our home by the lake, to be shared equally between the two of you." Amanda's face dropped for the briefest moment before twisting into disbelief. "Shared equally? That has to be a mistake," she blurted out, leaning forward in her chair. "My parents promised me this house. They told me I was the one who cared about it. Laura doesn't even visit." Mr. Jacobs adjusted his glasses calmly. "Amanda, I assure you, this is the will your parents signed. There is no mistake. The house belongs to both of you, in equal share." I exhaled slowly, relief flooding through me, though it was quickly tempered by Amanda's anger. She turned on me like a storm. "You don't deserve this, Laura. You never did. You ran off with your own life, left me to keep this place alive, and now you think you should just waltz in and take half." Her words cut deep. Memories flashed through my mind. Summer mornings when I scrubbed the porch with Dad, late nights when Mom and I cooked together for the whole family, afternoons when Amanda and I swam in the lake until our fingers wrinkled. To act like I had no claim was not only cruel, it was rewriting history. "I deserve it because it was our parents' wish," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. "This house belongs to both of us, Amanda. Not just you." Her eyes narrowed with fury. "You think you can just hide behind a piece of paper? Mom and Dad told me I was the one they trusted with it." Mr. Jacobs intervened gently. "I understand this is emotional, but the will is clear. Both daughters inherit the property equally. If you cannot come to an agreement, the court may ultimately decide how it's managed." Amanda scoffed, standing up so suddenly her chair scraped against the floor. "This isn't over. I'll prove that they meant for me to have it. You'll see, Laura, you'll regret trying to take something that isn't yours." She stormed out of the office, leaving me sitting there trembling. I turned to Mr. Jacobs, who gave me a sympathetic look. "These situations often bring out the worst in people," he said softly. "But remember, Laura, your parents' wishes are what matter. And they wanted both of you to have that home." On the drive home, my mind raced. Amanda wasn't going to let this go. She had always been headstrong, always convinced the world owed her more than anyone else. Growing up, she got away with everything because she was louder, more insistent, while I stayed quiet, avoiding conflict. But this time was different. This wasn't about letting her win an argument. This was about honoring our parents, about keeping a piece of them alive. When I got home, my husband Mark was waiting for me. He took one look at my face and asked, "What happened?" I told him everything. The will, Amanda's outburst, her threat. He listened silently, then pulled me into his arms. "You have every right to that house, Laura. Don't let her bully you into thinking otherwise. If she wants a fight, we'll be ready." His words gave me strength, but as I looked out the window at the setting sun, I couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning of a battle that would test not only my patience but my family bonds. Amanda wasn't going to walk away quietly, and deep down, I knew the worst was yet to come. The days after the reading of the will felt like walking on eggshells. Amanda didn't call, she didn't text, and the silence between us felt heavier than any words she could have thrown at me. But silence with Amanda was never peace. It was a storm gathering strength before it broke, and it didn't take long for the storm to come. One afternoon, I received a call from our cousin Daniel, who often visited the vacation home to fish on weekends. "Laura," he said hesitantly, "I thought you should know. Amanda was at the lake house yesterday with some contractors. She was talking about renovations. Big ones. Said she was the rightful owner now." My stomach twisted. She was already moving forward as if I didn't exist, as if the lawyer's words meant nothing. I thanked Daniel for telling me and hung up, my hands shaking. That night, when Mark came home from work, I told him what Daniel had said. He clenched his jaw. "She's testing you, Laura. If you don't confront her now, she'll take over everything and leave you with nothing." He was right. So the next morning I drove out to the lake house. It was a crisp autumn day, the leaves turning shades of gold and red, the lake calm and still. But as I pulled into the gravel driveway, my peace vanished. A large van sat parked out front, its sides painted with the name of a local construction company. And there was Amanda, standing on the porch with a clipboard in hand, pointing at the roof, while two men took notes. I stepped out of the car, my voice sharp as it carried across the yard. "Amanda, what are you doing?" She turned, her smile tight and triumphant. "Oh, Laura, you're here. I'm making plans. This house needs serious work, and since I'll be the one living here full-time, I figured I'd get started." My blood boiled. "Living here full-time? We're supposed to share it, Amanda. That's what the will said. You can't just take it over." She rolled her eyes, waving dismissively. "Please. You don't even have time to come up here. You've got your husband, your kids, your job. You'll barely use it. I'm the one who cares about this place. It only makes sense that I take responsibility. I felt my hands trembling as I tried to steady my voice. Caring about it doesn't mean you get to erase me. Mom and Dad wanted us both to have it. That's their wish, not yours. Her expression hardened, her tone sharp. Mom and Dad didn't know what they were doing. They were sentimental. I was the one who stayed close, the one who kept this place alive. You moved away. You barely visited. Why should you get half of something I poured my life into? For a moment, the weight of her words hit me. It was true. I hadn't been at the house as much as she had in recent years. But that didn't erase the decades I had spent there. The summers the first had helped paint the walls, the nights I had sat with Dad on the porch talking about life. My connection to the house wasn't less real, just because I had built a life of my own, that I stood my ground. You don't get to rewrite history just because it suits you. This house isn't yours alone, Amanda. If you try to go behind my back, I'll take this to court. Her eyes narrowed, flashing with anger. Do it. I dare you. But remember, Laura, once this gets ugly, there's no going back. You'll destroy this family over a house. Her words cut deep, but I could see the irony. She was accusing me of destroying the family when she was the one trying to take everything. As I drove away from the lake house, my chest tight with anger, I realized this wasn't just about property. This was about something much deeper. Amanda had always believed she was entitled to more attention, more love, more recognition. Growing up, she was the golden child, the one our parents defended, while I was the quiet one in the background. Now, even in death, she wanted to twist their love into something that served her and erased me. That night, I sat with Mark at our kitchen table, papers spread out in front of us. Copies of the will, notes from Mr. Jacobs, photographs of the house. She's not going to stop, I said quietly. She'll keep pushing until she forces me out. Mark looked at me firmly. Then we fight. Not because of money, not because of property, but because this is about your parents' memory, Laura. Don't let her steal that from you. His words lit a fire in me. For the first time in my life, I wasn't going to let Amanda bully me into silence. This wasn't just a house. It was my family's legacy, and I was ready to fight for it. The weeks that followed felt like living inside a storm. Amanda was relentless. She called me constantly, demanding I sign over my share of the house, insisting that it was the right thing to do. When I ignored her calls, she sent emails, long, condescending messages where she painted herself as the victim, claiming that I was selfish for not recognizing how much she had done for the family. I didn't stop there. Word began to spread through our extended family. My aunt called me one evening, her voice hesitant. Laura, I heard from Amanda that you're trying to take the vacation home away from her. Is that true? My stomach dropped. Amanda was poisoning the narrative, telling everyone that I was the greedy one, that I was disrespecting our parents' memory. I explained the truth, my voice trembling. Aunt Susan, the will is clear. Mom and Dad wanted both of us to have the house. I'm not trying to take it from Amanda. I just want to honor their wishes. She sighed heavily. Family fights over inheritance never end well. Please, Laura, don't let this ruin everything. I hung up, my heart aching. Amanda wasn't just fighting me privately anymore. She was dragging the entire family into it. And because she had always been louder, more charismatic, people were quick to believe her side. One Sunday afternoon, Mark and I decided to drive to the lake house with our kids. I wanted to show them the place again, to remind myself why this fight mattered. But when we pulled into the driveway, my chest tightened. There was Amanda's car, and inside the house, I could hear her voice carrying through the open windows. When we stepped inside, I froze. Amanda had gathered a few of our cousins and was giving them a tour, speaking as though the house already belonged solely to her. This will be the new dining room once I knock down that wall, she said confidently, pointing toward the kitchen. And the upstairs bedrooms will be for guests when I finally renovate. My son tugged at my hand. Mom, why is Aunt Amanda saying it's her house? The question stung. Amanda turned, her smile sharp as glass. Oh, Laura. Didn't expect you here. I was just showing everyone what's going to happen once the renovations are done. I clenched my fists, my voice shaking but strong. You don't get to make those decisions, Amanda. This house isn't yours alone. It's ours. One of our cousins, Matt, shifted uncomfortably. Amanda, is that true? I thought Uncle and Aunt left it to you. Amanda laughed bitterly. They meant to, but the Will got it wrong. Laura's clinging to a piece of paper instead of doing what's right. I felt the heat rise in my face, but before I could respond, Mark stepped forward. His voice was calm but firm. Enough. The will isn't wrong. This house belongs to both of them. If Amanda keeps ignoring that, then it'll be settled in court. The room grew tense. Amanda's smile faltered, and for a moment I saw the flash of fear in her eyes. She had always thrived on intimidation, but now, with others watching, her confidence cracked. Still, she recovered quickly. Do what you want, she snapped. But I won't back down. This house is mine, and one day, everyone will see that. We left soon after, but the damage was already done. My cousins were whispering, looking between us with uneasy expressions. Amanda had dragged them into our war, and now the family was divided. Some believed her, others believed me, and the house that had once brought us all together was now tearing us apart. That night, I sat at our dining table long after the kids had gone to bed. Mark placed a hand on my shoulder. Laura, she's not going to stop until someone forces her to. You need to prepare yourself. This isn't just about arguments anymore. It's heading to legal territory. I nodded slowly, my chest heavy with both dread and determination. Then we'll fight. Not because I want to win, but because I can't let her rewrite Mom and Dad's wishes. This house isn't just walls and windows, it's their legacy. And I won't let her destroy it. Even as I said the words, I knew the road ahead would be brutal. Amanda was stubborn, manipulative, and desperate. And deep down, I feared that this battle would cost me more than just sleepless nights. It might cost me the last pieces of family I had left. The weeks after that confrontation at the lake house were some of the hardest I can remember. Every time my phone buzzed, I half expected it to be another message from Amanda or one of our relatives asking why we couldn't just let it go. Family gatherings that used to feel warm and familiar were suddenly heavy with whispers and side glances. Some cousins stopped calling altogether, afraid of being caught in the middle. It was as if Amanda had built a wall in the family and everyone was forced to choose a side. But Amanda wasn't content with just turning relatives against me. One morning, an official-looking envelope arrived in the mail. My hands shook as I opened it, my heart sinking as I realized what it was. Amanda had filed a petition in probate court, claiming that our parents' will was unclear and that she had evidence our parents intended for the house to go solely to her. I sat at the kitchen table, the papers spread out before me, tears stinging my eyes. Mark walked in, saw my face, and immediately wrapped his arms around me. What is it? He asked gently. I handed him the papers, my voice barely steady. She's taking me to court. She's really doing it. Mark's expression hardened. Then we'll fight this the right way. She can twist words with family, but she won't twist the law. We contacted Mr. Jacobs immediately, and he reassured us. Laura, don't panic. The will is solid. I drafted it myself, and your parents signed it willingly. Amanda has no legal ground. But be prepared. She may try to drag this out, hoping you'll give up. And drag it out she did. Amanda began bringing up old stories, twisting them into supposed proof that she was the chosen one. She told people that Mom had whispered to her on her deathbed that the house should be hers. She even claimed Dad had once said, "You'll be the one to take care of this place, Amanda." Maybe those words had been said, but they were never meant to erase me. They were meant to remind her to be responsible, not entitled. Still, Amanda spun them like weapons, trying to cut me out completely. The stress weighed heavily on me. At night, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, wondering if I had the strength to keep fighting. Some days I even thought about giving up, just to end the endless arguments, the poison spreading through our family. But then I remembered summer evenings on the porch with Dad, his voice gentle as he told me, "Laura, This house is for both you girls. One day, when we're gone, I want you to sit here together and remember us." That memory kept me going. It wasn't about money or ownership anymore, it was about honoring my parents' wishes. Court hearings began in early spring. Sitting across from Amanda in that courtroom was surreal. She wore a sharp suit, her chin high, radiating confidence. When the judge asked her to explain her claim, she launched into a performance worthy of an actress, painting herself as the devoted daughter and me as the distant one who had abandoned the family home. When it was my turn to speak, my voice trembled at first, but then I steadied myself. "Your Honor, my parents loved us both. They weren't perfect, but they were fair. This house wasn't meant to divide us, it was meant to keep us connected. My sister wants to erase me from their legacy, but their will is clear. They wanted us to share it." Mr. Jacobs presented the will, signed and notarized. He spoke calmly, firmly, pointing out how airtight it was. Amanda tried to interrupt several times, but the judge silenced her. For the first time, I saw cracks in her confidence. When the hearing ended that day, Amanda stormed out of the courtroom without looking at me. I sat there, my heart racing, feeling both drained and strangely strong. For once, I hadn't let her overshadow me. That evening, Mark held me close on the porch of our home. "No matter how long this takes, we'll get through it," he whispered. I nodded, tears slipping down my cheeks, but as I looked out at the night sky, I couldn't help but wonder, even if I won in court, would I ever get my sister back? Or had this house, the place that once gave us so many happy memories, already destroyed whatever bond we had left? The day of the decisive court hearing arrived like a storm I had been waiting for and dreading at the same time. I barely slept the night before, lying awake with my heart pounding, playing out every possible scenario in my head. Mark squeezed my hand in the car on the way there. "Whatever happens today," he whispered, "you stood up for yourself, Laura. That matters." When we walked into the courtroom, Amanda was already there. She looked polished, her hair styled perfectly, her expression sharp and smug. She nodded curtly to a few relatives sitting in the gallery, people she had convinced to side with her. When her eyes met mine, she smirked as if she already knew the outcome. The judge entered, and everyone stood. Once the proceedings began, Amanda's lawyer wasted no time. He painted Amanda as the dutiful daughter, the one who had stayed close to home, the one who had cared for our parents and the vacation house while I had moved on with my life. The lawyer's words cut like knives, each one designed to make me look like a stranger to my own family. When it was our turn, Mr. Jacobs rose with calm authority. He reminded the court that he had personally drafted my parents' will, that both of them had reviewed and signed it willingly, without pressure. Then he opened a folder and pulled out a sealed letter I hadn't seen before. "Your Honor," Mr. Jacobs said, his voice steady, "in addition to the will, our clients, Mr. and Mrs. Bennett, left behind a personal statement addressed to their daughters. They wanted this statement read only if disputes arose." Amanda shifted uncomfortably, her confidence faltering. The judge gave a nod. "Proceed." Mr. Jacobs unfolded the letter, his voice soft but clear as he read aloud. "To our daughters, Laura and Amanda, we know how much this house means to both of you, but we also know how different you are. Amanda, you have always been outspoken, determined, and sometimes too quick to believe the world owes you more. Laura, you have always been quieter, steadier, often overlooked but never less loved. This house belongs to both of you. It is not meant to divide you, but to remind you that you are family, and that family requires balance, compromise, and love. We want Laura to know that her years of being steady, reliable, and supportive never went unnoticed. And we want Amanda to understand that love is not measured by possession, but by how we share what is given. Please honor our wishes. This house is equal, just as our love for you is equal." The courtroom was silent. Every word felt like it was echoing in the air, undeniable and final. I felt tears welling in my eyes as I listened, hearing my parents' voices again, their fairness, their love, their wisdom. Amanda's face turned red. "That's not real," she snapped, her voice breaking. "They never wrote that. She pointed at me, trembling with anger. She probably made that up. But the judge quickly intervened. Miss Bennett, this letter is notarized and accompanied by signatures from both your parents, witnessed and filed with their lawyer. There is no question of authenticity. Amanda slumped back in her chair, her composure shattering. For the first time in months, I saw not the confident, arrogant sister who believed she was untouchable, but someone small and exposed, faced with a truth she could no longer twist. The judge closed the folder. It is clear from both the will and the attached statement that the property is to be shared equally. This court rules in favor of enforcing the parents' wishes. Any further attempts to claim sole ownership will be dismissed. Relief flooded through me, so overwhelming I almost couldn't breathe. The weight I had carried since that first confrontation in the lawyer's office seemed to lift all at once. Mark squeezed my hand, his eyes shining with quiet pride. Amanda, however, couldn't hide her fury. She stormed out of the courtroom, refusing to even glance at me. I knew then that while the legal battle was over, the emotional one might linger. Winning the case didn't mean winning back my sister. Still, as I walked out of that courthouse, the crisp spring air filling my lungs, I felt stronger than I ever had before. I hadn't just defended my rights, I had defended my parents' legacy, their memory, and the love they had always tried to give us equally. And though Amanda might never forgive me, I finally forgave myself for all the years I stayed silent, for all the times I let her overshadow me. That silence was gone now. I had found my voice, and I wasn't going to lose it again. The weeks after the court ruling were a strange mix of relief and sorrow. On paper, the matter was settled. The vacation home by the lake was equally mine and Amanda's, just as our parents had intended. Legally, I had won, but emotionally, I couldn't shake the heavy ache of losing my sister in the process. Amanda stopped speaking to me completely. She didn't answer my calls, ignored my messages, and even when we crossed paths at a cousin's birthday party, she looked right through me, as if I didn't exist. I tried to tell myself that maybe time would heal her anger, but I knew Amanda too well. Her pride had been wounded, and pride was something she held onto tighter than love. Mark reminded me often, "Laura, you didn't create this fight. You just refused to let her erase you." His words comforted me, but there were still nights when I sat alone with the photo albums of our childhood, staring at old pictures of me and Amanda running through the grass at the lake, our parents laughing behind us. Back then, the house had been filled with joy. Now, it felt like a monument to a family that would never be whole again. Still, I refused to let bitterness win. That summer, I took my children to the vacation home for the first time since the court battle. We scrubbed the old porch, repainted the railings, and filled the house with laughter again. My kids swam in the same lake I once had, their laughter carrying across the water. As I sat on the porch one evening, watching the sun dip below the horizon, I felt my parents with me. Their presence was in every creak of the floorboards, every ripple in the lake, every firefly that blinked against the twilight. This is what they wanted, I whispered to myself. For the house to keep giving, even when they're gone. Amanda didn't come that summer, or the one after. Maybe she never will. But I've made peace with that. The will wasn't about dividing us, it was about reminding us that family is built on love, not ownership. If she can't see that now, maybe one day she will. Until then, I'll keep honoring our parents' wishes the best way I can, by living in love, not resentment. And maybe that's the greatest lesson of all, that sometimes you don't fight to win over someone else. Sometimes you fight to protect the truth, and in the process, you discover your own strength to us. Oh, here I am, stronger, braver, and more at peace than I ever thought I could be. The house is still standing, and so am I. Thank you so much for listening all the way to the end of my story. Life teaches us that sometimes the greatest battles aren't about money or property, but about respect, love, and finding your own voice. If you've ever felt overlooked or pushed aside, remember, you are stronger than you think, and your worth can't be erased. If this story touched you, don't forget to subscribe and leave a like. It means the world to me, and it helps me keep sharing more stories like this with you. Until next time, Take care of yourselves and treasure the people who truly stand by you.